Welcome back. Today we're going to harvest one of my very favorite crops that I'm definitely not at all obsessive about. After the fountain. Today I'm standing in front of this mess of dead yam vines. Now, when you think of a yam, you probably think of a sweet potato. That's not right. If you have read my books or read the blog, thesurvivalgardener.com before, you know that when I talk about yams, I'm talking about true yams. That is a starchy root crop from the tropics with vines that climb. These are not the sweet potatoes that you see advertised or sold as candied yams, etc. These are a starchy, amazing survival crop that's very important in Africa and Asia, the Caribbean, and other places with tropical climates. But we've found out that there are varieties of yams we can push here in Zone 8, Lower Alabama, and in Florida, Panhandle. This variety right here is called the Greater Yam. It's also known more properly as Dioscorea alata. I'm sure that comes out really weird on the closed captioning, but Dioscorea alata, that's the Latin name. And since this is time to harvest them, since they've gone down into their winter dormancy after a couple of frosts here, I figured I would just bring you along and explain some things about yams so you know how they work and how they grow. I've got a cat that is literally like eating my sock right now as I'm talking. Why are you doing this? Catch some yams. Somebody call the fire department. One thing about this species of yam that you need to note is that it makes these aerial hanging roots. These are called bulbils, and these can be harvested and planted for you to grow yams in the next year. So we harvest these first and put them aside, and then we cut the yam vines down. I'm driving with the top down, baby. Rain won't stop me. I'm high on black coffee, baby. Your blues won't rock me. I'm planting on the seed cone, baby. Some girls can't stop me. I'm cranking up the bass and baby, and you can't drop me. Ooh, sugar pie. Now that we've got the vines off, it's time to actually dig the roots. You might remember from the spring that this bed here was actually an experiment where we intercropped blue potatoes with our yams. And that is not something we've tried before, you know, putting two root crops in the same bed, because normally if you got two root crops, they're gonna fight with each other. In the case here, though, we figured the potatoes are early season, and the yams don't even start to initiate tubers until about 4 to 5 months after planting. So we harvested blue potatoes out of here long before the yams came in. So we'll see how these yams look. But it seems to me that we pretty easily did 2 yields in the same space. This ground is really soft. We have a sandy loam. So digging the yams up is not very difficult. I don't even think I need to do the trick where we go and get the garden hose. Though I might. That's the previous piece of yam.
Oh,
that's the yam that made it.
Weird juice out.
Yep, we are gonna get the garden hose. Last time I did this, I had my wedding ring on and I lost it in the hole. So just to make sure I stay married, I'm gonna take it off first. Go ahead. When you have soft sand like we do here in our yard, and like what I grew up with in South Florida, you can use a hose as a jet to blast water around the root And you can just stick the hose straight into the ground and the water will really drive the soil away and around. You can actually put it very deep into the soil and lose your entire hose if you're not careful. You can just keep feeding it into the ground. When I was little, a friend of mine, Ray, he was my best friend when I was a little kid. He lived down the street from us. And Ray and I stuck his dad's hose down into the sand of his backyard, and we just kept feeding it in deeper and deeper and deeper. And his dad saw what we'd done and that we couldn't pull the hose back out, and he had to dig for it, and we were in big trouble. He was not happy with us at all. So if you have a best friend named Ray and you are ever tempted to join him in sticking a garden hose deep into the ground while it is running in a location where that sort of thing is possible, I highly recommend you don't do it, because Ray's dad will not be happy. I can feel around the edge of this root that this is a good size yam, and it's actually very deep, deeper than I expected. I thought when we started digging it, based on how high up the top of it was, that it wouldn't be that deep, but it's actually pretty far in there. Careful, that'll break.
Yeah. You can tell now that the
There we go.
bark is weak.
There we go. It's letting go.
Oh, that's a big one.
So I wouldn't say having potatoes in there lowered our yield.
Pretty good size.
That's a good looking yam. Now, it's a trick that you can do if you live in a more tropical climate. I'm not sure if it would work here or not. But that is, you can take this top head part of it right here off, cut it off and bury it back into the hole, and it will make a new root beneath. I don't know if that we have a season that can manage that though, or if it would just freeze and die over the winter. This one will start by digging it with a hose. Something interesting about yams is that they are perennial, which means they'll grow from year to year to year. And unlike some perennials, which make a really good root the first year possibly, and then the next year the root starts to get hard and terrible and bad and woody or whatever, a yam will digest the previous year's root. This was the root that we planted initially. This is almost just completely a desiccated piece of nothing. And it will grow a new root to replace that old root every year. And it just usually gets bigger, much bigger in the second and third year than it was in the first year. So the first year we planted something, you know, about the size of a fist. And then now we're probably gonna get something closer to 6 to 10 pounds. And if we just left this in the ground, it would turn around again and make an even bigger yam the next year with a lot more top on it. And they start to divide beneath the ground and get bigger, and sometimes spread out into multiple plants as they divide. But if you don't get to them the first year and you just leave them in the ground, often that's good, because the next year they're even bigger. There is a lot of yam in here.
Yeah.
It goes all the way around the side over here and out. My goodness. It's way, way in there. I think this one's gonna be a monster.
Oh. Like here I've got one.
Here, let the water out that side.
Got one.
Ah, what is this? That's another blue potato. There's actually some blue potatoes growing in here right now. They made them again. That's one we missed in the spring. And it sprouted again. There we go. There we go. Here. Can you rinse it off?
Oh
yeah. There we go.
Ow, Dad, this
What?
bit me. What is this?
Fire ant. Get out of there. There might be more.
It doesn't feel like a fire ant.
They're biting slow because it's cold. This is why I go barefoot, so I don't soak my sneakers. Right here, this is last year's piece that we planted. It was probably about that big. And then it maybe quadrupled in size or something like that to make this yam. And we'll go ahead and take these yams in and weigh them and see how much we got from a 10-foot row. All right, let's see what we got here. This scale is off by 3 pounds, and it doesn't seem to be adjustable. So whatever we weigh, we just take 3 pounds off of it. I wonder if we'll get them all in here. Let's see. There we go. And there. That is 27 pounds of yams. That's 27 pounds of yams in 10 foot of space. And we also harvested potatoes out of both sides, so I'm not sure how many pounds came from that 10 foot. But if we extrapolate that, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 27, 20. No, actually there's only 3 27s. So we'd be nearing 90 pounds. 27 pounds of yams is roughly 14,000 calories. So that's 7 days at 2,000 calories a day if you're eating nothing but yams, but that's a good supplement in there. If you were to improve the soil further, plant larger pieces of yam to begin with, maybe feed it with more compost, etc., you can raise these yields somewhat. We also get a yield of bulbils, which we can replant. And we also really didn't have to do anything to these things. Once they're in the ground, we just leave them alone and they grow all on their own. So it's a very easy crop, a very low care crop. I mean, it's more effort to trellis it and to dig it up than just about anything else, other than maybe making the beds at the beginning. So this was easy because when the tractor came through here and tilled this area, it left a big mound at the end. So we just raked the mound somewhat even, and it had all these weeds and stuff rotting down in it. And we planted yams on top of it. So yeah, it's a good harvest. It's not super epic high yields like if you were able to, you know, grow potatoes in pure compost or something like that, but it's yields without a lot of effort and with no disease issues, no pest issues, no care other than planting and harvesting. So that's my kind of a survival crop. And it's actually so easy to grow that if you had the edge of the woods or something like that and you planted some, they would just keep growing. They just live all on their own, which is fantastic. So if you want to learn more about yams, check out thesurvivalgardener.com. And you can also check out my Florida gardening books, Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening, Florida Survival Gardening, Create Your Own Florida Food Forest, and the South Florida Gardening Survival Guide, all of which cover the yam as one of the best crops that you can grow. And now don't worry, if you live further north, there are yams for you as well. You can grow the Dioscorea polystachya, the Chinese yam, also sometimes called the light root. The Chinese yam will grow all the way up into zone 5 and also gives you little edible bulbils that taste a lot like potatoes that you can eat even raw, and they're not bad. So that's another yam you could check out. We've had good luck growing tropical yams here in zone 8, with the exception of Name yam, which grew well for us, but we were not able to get it to live through the winter in storage. So we're gonna have to do some more experiments with that. Any ones we left in the ground rotted, any ones that we boxed up also rotted, so that wasn't cool. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. Be sure to check out the links below and learn more about yams, and check out my other yam videos on this channel. And until next time, may your thumbs always be green.